Becoming a pilot and owning your own plane is absolutely doable, but in order to get there, there are several key challenges you're going to have to overcome. And I'm gonna show you exactly how to beat those levels while I try to beat 5 levels of spicy Thai food. Oh my gosh, my tongue's on fire. And I've never gotten past level like 3 spicy, so this should be interesting. Cheers. I'm gonna get a fork. Little sting, little twinge, a little spark in the back of the throat there. So the first level you're gonna have to overcome, or at least this is how it was for me. It might be different for everybody, but one of the challenges for me was being willing to suck at first, okay? And when you try something new as an adult, and I was like 14 when I started, but this would have been way harder if I'd started like now when I'm 35, is that you're probably used to doing mainly just the things you're good at. Like you're probably in your career because hopefully you enjoy it, but even if you don't enjoy it, you're probably good at it at this point, and that's part of why you're doing it. You're doing the hobbies that you do because you're probably good at them or you enjoy getting better at them. But learning to fly is gonna be completely opposite of that. You're gonna get in the cockpit and you're gonna be like, wow, I'm really, really bad. And that can be an ego hit at first. Where you're like, I don't know if I was cut out for this. Because when you look back and you learn how to play soccer, you didn't realize how bad you were, and therefore you probably didn't want to quit. You just stuck with it, and then eventually you're like, oh, I'm pretty good at this, right? But as an adult, you're gonna have to make the conscious decision to keep going even though you suck. And I say that lovingly, like you're gonna suck at first, but you're gonna get way, way, way better. And so there's 2 things that can really help with it. One is to literally write down and put on your bathroom mirror or somewhere that says, I want to be a pilot so badly that I am willing to be bad at it in order to become good at it. And that has to be your mentality. And the other thing that's gonna really help create that mentality is using the word yet. So anytime you get in the cockpit and you're like, man, I'm just really not good at landings yet, add that to the end of the sentence. Man, I just really don't understand what's going on with air traffic control here yet. That's going to reframe that thought and remind yourself, like just like the 4-year-old soccer player, like if I stick with this, like I'll probably become good at it. You just need to see it through long enough to get good at it. So that's probably one of the first challenges you're gonna experience. That one was child's play 2. This is where you whoosh, whoosh. Challenge number 2. Okay, this is a bump up. You can start to see the little red flake. You can't really see this, but there's little red flakes in here. That's not a good sign. We've got a long way to go. Okay, that one hit harder than I thought it was going to. Challenge number 2 is life is going to get in the way. If you go look through any of the sorry, it's starting to heat up. If you go look through any of the comments of my videos, there's tons of people that will say like, sorry, I just had a foreshadow. I'm like, I'm really not looking forward to level 5. 2 is usually where I land when I go out and get Thai food. So this is like home plate for me, but we got a ways to go. What I was trying to say is if you go look through the comments, there's gonna be tons of people that are like, yeah, I had momentum, and then, you know, then the weather got bad, and then the airplane was in the shop, and then my instructor left, or whatever. There's gonna be all these like setbacks, or in their personal life, like, you know, things just got busy or whatever, and keeping momentum is going to be challenging. And so the antidote here is like, please, please, please hear me out here. Like, to do a dedicated sprint on your private, on your instrument, whatever you're working on. Because I have done it like casually and kind of done it here and there, and it usually doesn't work. Like the only way I've really had success, and I did this in my instrument, I eventually did this in my commercial, was doing a dedicated sprint where you're like, okay, I'm carving out this season. I'm gonna say no to most things in my life because the only way to make time for something is to not spend it on everything else. And just say, no, I am buckled down for a dedicated season to just knock this out. Because if you don't, like the chances of life getting in the way are a lot higher, and it's going to have setbacks. Because you're gonna have setbacks outside of your control, like weather and airplane maintenance or something. But the things that you can control, like don't let like the controllables get in the way, like your availability, the amount of studying you're doing. Just you got to go all in and really, really dedicate a season to this to really knock it out. And 2 really quick ways to implement that is 1, to keep momentum alive. Never ever leave the flight school without having made your next flight, like book your next flight and put it on the calendar. But then also if you're in the early phases, kind of the research phase, anything that's going to be reversible, like what ground school do I use to study, what headset do I buy, anything like that isn't an irreversible decision. Said another way, it is reversible. Set a timer for yourself and say at the end of this timer, whether it's an hour, a few hours, whatever, I am making the decision, I'm buying it, and I'm moving on. Because I think as much as you can, you want to try to err towards action rather than err towards just stalling out in research mode, because research mode can really just end up being procrastinating because you're scared to take the next step. Like that has happened to me so many times. So set a timer, make a decision, and keep going. Level 3, this is my current personal record. So here's my PR, folks. Let's dive in. That's already so much hotter. Oh boy. A lot of red flakes, man. Heating up. The third level you're probably gonna experience, there is a delay from taking a bite until it heats up. Okay, the third thing you're probably gonna experience is difficulty with air traffic control. The first time my instructor told me to speak on the radio, we weren't even at a controlled airport. And he said, hey, it's no big deal, just say, Gillespie County Airport, Super Cub 24 Yankees, entering a 45 left downwind, landing runway 32 Gillespie County. And that might as well have been Chinese. Just being completely honest, I was like, what did he just say? And it is kind of a foreign language at first, until you realize that like 90% of it is the same thing over and over and over. So that original transmission that totally freaked me out, it really just followed that who, what, where. And to illustrate that, if you want, down in the description, up in the corner, I have a video where I talk about here's like 90% of what you're gonna experience in any given VFR flight. And it'll really just go ahead and show you what you're gonna encounter, and that'll demystify it a little bit. So know that it is repetitive, but it really all comes down to who you are, where you are, and what you wanna do. It's not that much different than calling the plumber and you're like, hey, plumbing company, I'm Charlie, I live in Frisco, my water heater's busted, can you come help me? Like that's the same cadence. And so talking to air traffic control really mirrors real life. It might not feel like that at first, or it feels like Chinese, but it really is quite similar to the day-to-day conversations you're already having. And when you realize that, it can really help the cadence. The other big unlock here, especially when you're early on, is just to go ahead and announce that you are a student pilot. The AIM, the Aeronautical Information Manual, actually suggests that student pilots say they're student pilots, which makes sense. So you can just say your whole transmission, and at the end say student pilot. And the people in the traffic pattern or the air traffic controller that you're talking to is just going to be a lot more understanding with you. They're gonna help you out. And so don't be afraid to pull that card. Everybody's been there, okay? So don't be afraid to use those 2 magic words. It'll make it easier. Number 4, this is new territory for me. Man, this hits different. That might give me the hiccups. All right, new PR, boys and girls. Woo! Okay, that hits different. Okay, that was significantly hotter. Okay, then the next level that you're going to have to conquer is early overwhelm. You're gonna get in the cockpit, and I did too. My mouth is on fire. And you're gonna be like, there's so many knobs and switches and buttons, and then you got checklists, and then air traffic control is talking to you, and then you're trying to figure out how to fly and take off, and what's the rudder do? It's like all of this stuff. It is so overwhelming. And I get emails from new pilots all the time, literally all the time, that say, man, I'm like 3 hours in, and I just don't know if I can do this, or I'm totally in over my head, or I was so excited and now I'm so discouraged. And I feel you, because I promise, like, I'm about to have the hiccups. Okay, I think I can avoid it. I promise you that like I've been there and it gets better, and stick with it. Remember the word yet, but then also look back. If you have your driver's license, remember the first time you drove the car, particularly like whenever you're trying to get on the highway. And like for me, I just remember being completely freaked out by that. Even turning onto a main road, I had to wait until there was like half a mile between me and the next car before I'd pull out or whatever. And now you can do it at night when you're on your cell phone and you're eating a cheeseburger or whatever. Like your brain is capable of incredible muscle memory. It wants to create muscle memory. That's how it's wired. And so if you can stick with it, yes, there's still a lot going on in the cockpit, but you are gonna figure out the order of things. You're not gonna have to think about every tiny little input that happens, or rudder movement, or power adjustment, or what to say back to the tower. Eventually you're just gonna start doing it. And then you're gonna be like, whoa, like I just did it. And what's funny is that the people that I've emailed with that have said, hey, I'm really in the weeds, I'm a few hours in, this is really difficult, and I've told them this, I'm not taking credit for their success, I'm just telling you, like, this will happen to you too if you stick with it, is I've never gotten a second email later on saying, you know what, yeah, I'm 40 hours in and I still feel that way. More times than not, I get an email from them later that says, hey, here's a picture of me, I just got my license, or I just bought my first plane. Like, they get through it to the other side. I've not heard of very many people who are like, I'm doing it for dozens and dozens and dozens of hours, and I'm just not getting it. I'm not saying that couldn't happen to you, but like, that's not what I'm hearing from people. And so just stick with it. I promise that early overwhelm will go away if you stick with it. Okay, here we go. Level 5. This is bucket list stuff for me, guys. I've always wanted to do this. That just looks mean. Oh man. Woo! Okay, took a full whiff of that. Let's go for it. Just tastes like lighter fluid. I'm sweating. Oh my gosh, my tongue's on fire. Okay, I can do this. I can't see it. I'm starting to sweat. My nose is running. And I really have not wanted water or milk until now. And I'm not doing it. I'm not gonna do it. Because we're in this together. I like spicy stuff, and this one's tough. But it's also how you're gonna feel at level 5. Because I know, because I have been there so many times of just completely overwhelmed and in pain, just like my whole mouth area is right now. In pain with the amount and the volume of information that you're gonna have to memorize as a pilot. It's just a lot, okay? Woo! Oh my gosh, I'm sweating. I can do this. But there are a few key things that can really help you with this. First is, my favorite flight instructor gave me this piece of advice that I want to pass along to you. He said, aviation is a new language and you just have to become fluent in it. I was asking him, like, man, how do you keep all this stuff memorized? It seems like so many random numbers and laws and all this stuff. Like, how do you do it? And he's like, man, it's just a language. Like, how do you memorize Spanish? How do you memorize English, for that matter? It's just repetition, putting it into practice, and then just becoming fluent in it, basically. And so as I started to approach my training that way, it's been really encouraging, because you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have to brush up on stuff to maintain my fluency. That's just part of it. It'll help you memorize things better. But like on a tactical front, there's a couple things that really, really help. First is using some kind of flashcards. I make my own. They're used by thousands of pilots. These took me like well over a year to make, along with some other flight instructors. There's 300, I'll roll some footage here. There's over 350 in the set that cover like pretty much everything you need to know as a private pilot. And I have used, like, I got my private years ago, but I actually used these cards to study for my latest flight review. And it was a game changer, because there is so much random information you need to know. But I just really wanted to say, okay, I want it all in one box. I want it like in a Pokeball. I can just like, just capture and whatever. And I put it in a box. And now it's like the stuff I need to memorize are in this box. And so that's how I can address it. So, you know, buy them, don't buy them. I just want you to know that they exist, that they can be helpful. But whether you use my flashcards or you make your own notes or whatever, the big thing here, this is a huge unlock in how you continue to memorize things, is to really focus on active recall. If you're just reading your notes over and over and over, that's really kind of passive review. You're not really doing much to jog your brain, because you're just like pushing all the information in. But the data suggests that if you can force active recall and try to pull information out and then polish it up and then push it back in, it's like way more effective in keeping things memorized. And so that's why flashcards are effective, you know, if you'll use them and, you know, read, of course, the first one I turned to is alcohol. Woo, all right, cheers. You know, what are the rules regarding pilots consuming alcohol or whatever? Like, okay, before I read the back of it, let me actually try to answer that question and see if I'm even close. And then you can turn it over, read the back, and polish up that information by saying, okay, I was off here, or I was correct, and then push it back in. And that is way better than just reading the notes over and over and over. And so if you can force active recall in your studying, it's gonna be a huge unlock in memorizing all of this stuff. And it's gonna make that intimidation factor of the volume of things you need to memorize just way, way more approachable. So here's what I need from you. Would you please leave me a comment down below? Let me know what was your biggest struggle in flight training, or what is your current biggest struggle in flight training, and what are you doing to try to overcome that, or what have you found effective? And the reason this is so important is because I promise that there are gonna be some newcomers in aviation that will read through these comments, and they're gonna be so encouraged, because they're gonna remember what you said, not what I said, but what you said in the comments, to say, okay, cool, like that guy's going through it too, that girl's going through it too, I can do it, here's what worked. And so by you taking the time to comment, I truly believe this, down deep, down deep, is that you can help create more pilots. So would you please take a minute, leave me a comment down below, and I will see you there.